We yield to you, to your gifts, to your manifestations. Precious and wonderful name of Jesus. And Lord, we come against any form of distraction or disturbance. May our hearts remain alert, our souls attentive. And let us, Lord, continue to grow and to develop in the walk that you have designed for us. We thank you for today, for we can truly say that this is the day that you have made, and we will continue to rejoice. In Jesus' precious name. Before you see, say, Jesus, is here right now. Amen. You can be seated. I want to read you something before we get started, before I say anything. This is one of the scriptures that I have. I'm going to read it to you. You can confess it after me if you choose so. But I believe that the Lord, I don't like to say wants to do, because it make it look like that is something that he is not doing. But I believe that the Lord wants to bring us back to the place to where we can partake of what he is doing. In Psalms, the 90th chapter, I want to read this as a confession on us. This is not something I'm going to teach, but I want to read it as a confession on us. It's in Psalms, Psalms, the 90th chapter. I'm not going to read it out of the out of the King James. I'm going to read it out of the Message Bible, because I like its rendering. I really love its rendering. But I want to kind of get your spirits to a place of alertness so you can jack your hope up. To my Bible hope. This was a prayer that Moses prayed. It's in the Old Testament, but I think it's important because it was something that he prayed for, that they experienced during their travel, during the wilderness. And I don't know where you may be. I'm talking about each one of us individually, where you may be in your walk with the Lord. But Moses prayed this, and it reads like this in the Message Bible. It says, "Oh, teach us to live well." I'm at the 12th verse. I'm going to read down to the 17th. But I'm reading it out of the Message Bible. So if you don't have a Message Bible or a Message translation, just follow it. Confess with me. Say, "Oh, teach us to live well."
Oh, teach us to live well.
Teach us to live wisely and well.
Teach us to live wisely and well.
Come back. God, how long do we have to wait? And treat your sons, as us, with kindness for a change. Now, it don't mean that God is not treating you kind, but during Moses' travel during the wilderness, it appeared that at times that God was not treating them well. And sometimes, I don't know where you live, but you may feel like, man, look like the Lord ought to do more. But it's not. It don't mean that he is not doing more, but you want to wake your spirit up to something. Surprise us, Lord.
Surprise us, Lord.
With love at daybreak. Then we'll skip and dance all the day long. Make up for the bad times with some good times. We've seen enough evil to last a lifetime. Let your sons see what you're best at. the way you rule,
the way you rule,
and bless your children.
and bless your children,
And let the loveliness
and let the loveliness
of our Lord,
of our Lord,
our God,
our God,
rest on us,
rest on us,
confirming
confirming
the work that we do.
the work that we do.
Oh yes, Lord.
Oh, yes, Lord.
Affirm the work
Affirm the work
that we do.
that we
Now,
do.
this was a prayer that Moses prayed during their travel during the wilderness. And I believe that it's something that God wants to wake us up back to. This was a prayer that he prayed, Lord, we need an experience of your presence afresh. I've always said that, traditionally, this is a byword or a buzzword. When we see these expressions, you see them written on churches during the time we might have another minister, or even that particular pastor. During a certain time, if we in church 2, 3, maybe 4 days continually, we call it a revival, as if the Spirit has left us, and He is not gone. He has not left us. He is alive and well in us. God has not left us to ourselves. And it's important for you to know that primarily because sometimes it looks like it can be very difficult. I don't know about y'all. You say, well, Brother Gary, when you're up and preaching, don't look like you never have no difficult times. I just don't talk about it. If I told you about the times that were difficult for me, what could you do? How you going to help me? And I know some of y'all may say, you don't know what I can do. Well, if you're thinking like that, put your hand up so I can come to you the next time. We can resolve that problem right now. Can or not? But most people think because I was a pastor that, listen, it is not my job to encourage you. My job is to feed you. Now, I don't mean in the feeding you don't get encouraged. But I have learned, I want you to notice the term, I have learned, people ain't always encouraging. Y'all don't like that, do y'all don't like that part? And we don't like that. We want people to encourage us. And I understand that. Everybody want to be encouraged sometimes. And I understand that. But sometimes you ain't going to get it. So what do you do when nobody don't encourage you, Brother Gary? Come on, give me a word. There's a word in the Bible that says encourage yourself. Yeah. You ain't got to wait for nobody to encourage you. Encourage yourself. But one of the things that I have learned, if you don't get acquainted with the Lord through Scripture, you won't even know when He's encouraged. Amen. The Bible says, in Job, I believe it's the 7th chapter, it talks about it. It says, and God comes to me morning by morning. He awakens me to Him. And I say this here. And it's amazing that we know when the devil is talking and we don't know when God is talking. They even make movies about it. Sinners know when the devil made me do it. For years, Flip Wilson said that, and we kind of coined that phrase. And so we start to use that when we misbehave, but the devil made me. But it's amazing that a good God who is mighty, who's always talking, his own children say, I don't know how to hear his voice. While I was sitting there, the Lord was sharing something with me. He said, how do a sheep, and I watched the responsibility. How do a sheep know when a shepherd is talking? I'm talking about a dumb animal, a sheep. They say he's one of the dumbest animals. How in the world do a sheep know when a shepherd is talking? Now, before you ask me to tell you something, sometimes when they get ready to cut the wool off of a sheep, a shepherd have a tendency to put, they put all of their sheep in the same fold. The same. You know how a shepherd separates his sheep from them that's in that fold? With his voice. You can't go in there because they all look alike. So he uses his voice. Now you telling me, and listen, now you're going to have to slap yourself to wake yourself up. Are you telling me a dumb animal can hear a man's voice and you can't hear the voice of God? We're talking about something natural. A sheep. You're talking about a dumb animal. To where you got to lead him to water where it's still at, because if it's running, he'll drown himself because he thirsty. See, a sheep can't drink water that's running. It has to be still. Else he'll drown himself. You know, when David was writing that, he wasn't just writing that because he didn't know that naturally. He said, he leadeth me beside still water. He know that. He learned that from leading sheep. He restores my soul. He said he does that. You're talking about a shepherd does that to a sheep. And yet God is our Heavenly Father. And Jesus said this. Now, I heard my wife say something that is in the Bible. John 10 says, my sheep. Now, you're going to almost make me ask you who your daddy is when you say I can't hear his voice. Because he said, my sheep know my voice. Now, listen, there ain't no two ways about this. Either Jesus, or he was telling the truth. Now, you can call him a liar, but I ain't. I have never asked the Lord how to hear your voice. This is what he told me about sheep. He said, you know how sheep learn to hear the shepherd's voice? He said, the shepherd just keep talking.
Yes.
You don't put the responsibility on the sheep. You put it on the shepherd. See, God ain't putting the responsibility on you. All you need to do is just keep listening.
Amen.
Because he ain't going to never stop talking because he done said, my sheep, watch the sound, know my voice. Now, you know what the other part of that says? You know it too. He says, because another, they won't follow. He didn't say they couldn't. He said they won't. Which means you have to exercise your will not to do it. Amen. So that cancels out by, I can't hear it because he says another voice they won't. They will not follow. Now sometimes he may have to speak to a person. Primarily he speaks about that inner voice on the inside of you that you were born with. He speaks on the inside of you. And we need to learn to develop that. Well, listen, practically, the way you develop the sound of his voice, I watch this. How many voices Adam had heard before he sinned? There's one voice he had only heard the voice of God. Did you know that the devil did not speak to Adam, he spoke to Eve? Adam didn't even hear the devil's voice. If you see where God was judging him, you say because you hearkened to the voice of your wife. That was the second voice he heard, was his wife. He never did hear the devil's voice. If the devil had said that to Adam, he'd have slammed him out of that garden. But because the only voice he had heard was God and his wife, and his wife said, taste it. He didn't even bother to ask, where you got that from? She said, it's good because it hadn't done anything to it yet. But when he ate it, the Bible says both of their eyes came open. Not hers, by herself, the both of them. Why? Because initially, I'm going to teach whenever the Lord allowed me, I'm going to teach on the first. Genesis got a lot of the verses in it. And I always call it the law of the first. And it's important, you know, when God does something first, it's a reason for it. And it remains as a principle. I'm talking about the first. You know, like, and the Bible talks about the first day of the week. Now, we have assumed that Sunday is the first day of the week because it's a day of worship, but the Bible actually doesn't name it that. I can tell y'all something about the resurrection that might change y'all whole attitude. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Right? Who told y'all Jesus died on Friday? See, I'm just saying, nobody, let me tell y'all something.
If y'all don't go home and find out what I'm saying is true, shame on you. We've been saying that for the longest. Jesus died on Friday. Hey. Hey. How y'all know that? I'm just speaking generally to you. See, we accept stuff and then we wondering why we don't have no faith for that, or we ain't getting the kind of results for it that we want. It's because we need to find out if it's true. Even Jesus made himself subject to people. He said, go search the scriptures and see if the things that I'm saying is true. Jesus said that himself, and he is the truth. But he wanted them to understand, listen guys, I'm not going to always be with you in this manner. I'm not going to be physically with you. So you need to discover how to know what the truth is. Notice what he said in the 8th chapter of St. John when he was talking about who he was and how his father had sent him. And then the Bible says, as he continued to talk, it says, many believed on him. Now, there are several people who's listening, but not everybody sitting in that audience believed on him. And so the Bible said, and he said this to them that believe. Now, I ain't talking to everybody in here, but everybody in here hear me.
Amen.
See, well, Brother Joe, why you ain't talking to everybody in here? Because everybody in here don't believe what I'm saying. So I'm talking to them that believe. Well, Brother Gary, who you know don't believe? I don't know. I want everybody in here to believe what I'm saying, but I don't know that, so I have to talk to the ones. I'm putting emphasis on the ones who do believe what I'm saying. Not necessarily me, but believe what I'm saying. I'm putting emphasis on it. He says, to them that believe on him, continue in my word. That is a strange word to church people. Now, I'm going to tell you something. All right? John 16 talks about it. It says, I have many more things to say to you, but right now you cannot bear them. Do you know how the letters in the gospel, I'm talking about the letters from the book of Romans all the way to Revelations, do you know what they contain? We call them the letters of Paul or John or James or the Hebrews or the Revelation. You know, do you know what those letters contain? The unspoken words of Jesus.
Wow.
You want to know something about how in the world did the early church thrive as it did, and they didn't even have a complete Bible? And yet they thrived like a machine. Watch this. When they would meet from house to house, according to Acts, it says they would meet from house. And you want to see something amazing? They would meet from house to house, what we know now as communion. They would meet from house to house having communion. And the Bible said this. And God would add to the church daily and with nobody even preaching. There's something about the revelation about the communion that we have yet to tap into. And people wonder why we take it every Sunday. I ain't just taking it because it's something. We just do that. Ain't no church. You know what they call them? Church doctrine. No, it's much more than that. But you hear my wife say, we don't just do this in church. You think the devil don't? I get a lot of opportunities to get sick. I just don't take them. I go take communion. They'll tell you in the house, everybody in the house can be coming down with a cold accent. You don't come here. I sleep in the bed with her. She had a cold for 4 or 5 days. The devil just wanted to convince her that she had a cold. Well, I wasn't convinced. You'll never hear me say I'm coming down with nothing. I ain't super deep. I ain't super spiritual. I just don't believe it. Now, don't get mad at me because of some stuff I don't believe. If you want to believe it, it's all. You ain't going to go to hell for believing it. You might go to hell a lot earlier, but you ain't going to hell. You understand? If you want to believe God and, believe that when you get something that it's on you and you got it, I'm going to tell you, 2 people you cannot convince. God is one and I'm the second. You can't convince me. Now, I ain't going to agree with you, but I ain't going to make you feel bad, and I ain't going to talk down to you. I might even tell you, say, you want me to pray for you to get some more? Listen, see, My salvation, what Jesus means to me, I'm talking about to me now. I can't make it mean that to you. To me, all I do is try to teach people what I believe from Scripture. That's what God called me. You know, one of the things, I ain't going to even say the devil, but he's the orchestrator of it. I'm going to tell you one of the things that the enemy has been successful at, and I hate to give him credit. I really do, but we need to be aware of this, Paul, so we're not ignorant of his devices. One of the things the enemy has been successful in doing is using a wind of doctrine to keep us scattered in our belief. So what do you mean by that, Brother Gary? There's some churches, when I say churches, I'm talking about denominations who believe that healing is past. When did it pass? I didn't get that number. When did it pass? There's a lot of things that the church has embraced that the Bible don't teach. And so, you remember last time I said something, I hope I didn't offend nobody, but I'm just a Bible person. I am. You know, I was telling you about, believers don't know nothing about choosing no pastors. So, Brother Gary, how do a church receive? The Bible tell you. See, that's where you go at. You can't leave that out of net. When you get to God business, you can't leave that Bible. Oh, come on, y'all. You got saved because of what's in the Scripture. If you got saved, that's where you live at. You remember what I told you? When you get saved, you got to learn to eat where you live at. Now, you know, I didn't mind my church. 2 houses I didn't mind them eating from. Them was my mama's. My mother-in-law and my mom. Well, I ain't hear you say that about your sister and brother. Some of them cats can't cook, man. You know, see my sister right now? She ain't one of them cooks, man. And some stuff she could make, one of the things she used to make real good, I don't know how good she had it right now, but I'm talking about this, and I ain't no maid to cook my own stuff. You know, so I ain't finna brag and I ain't finna say who, but I'm talking about I ain't no maid to cook. At one time I used to love to cook out on the grill because that was my specialty. I love cooking on the grill. But my wife was an in-house cook. But right here? If she was having dinner at her house, I don't know if I would go to eat. I said, what you want me to bring? I'm eating what I bring. I don't know. Sit up. You can't convince me with that. Your food ain't saved. No, yet. Get my wife, let her tell me. And I understand that. I don't know why people get offended because they can't cook. If you can't cook, you can't cook. You know, now, see, this way y'all want to use the Bible. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. You can't cook. You think you just going to automatically be able to do that because that scripture in the Bible and you ain't learned nothing? And you want me to believe that about you? I can do all things. I don't need you to cook. But anyway, you got to learn to eat where you live at. You understand? I'm going to tell you something. When God assigned you particularly to a place of ministry, you ought to eat more. You ought to do more eating there than you do out. So that you can be. Listen, I ain't talking about being established in the church, being established in the world. You know, I used to tell y'all when y'all go to funerals, don't be sitting up there saying amen to everything because everybody in there crying. The Lord chose to bring my darling sister home. He needed a flower. That's a lie. That ain't in scripture. Y'all sitting up there, you know, feeling sorry right now, thinking you comforted them with them lying words. Them lying words, man. You trying to comfort people, and there ain't no truth in that. And listen, I'm not trying. I don't want you to think I'm being insistent, but I'm just telling you, you can't comfort people with lying words. Paul told us how to comfort people. He even gave us the words to comfort them with. Well, every time he preach a funeral, that's what he preached. Because the words don't change. Death affects all of us the same way. Now, you may not always express it the same way, but it affects us the same way. Nobody wants to be separated from their loved ones. I'm going to tell you why. Now, most people don't deal with that because that was not in God's plan. This is why sometimes what we call death is so difficult, because it was never in the plan of God. You know what God called death? His enemy. And we try to make it look like sometimes God and death is buddies. God saw fit to bring me home. Listen, God ain't got to kill me to bring me home. He didn't kill Elijah. He's not doing home alive. But we always want to credit God with something that we misunderstand. Now, this is why sometimes death is so difficult. Let me tell you something. When a loved one goes home, if they went home to be with the Lord, now, I'm going to make a statement that I know, listen, it's okay to sorrow. But grief is, listen, grief is not accepted. You know, I got to go through this grieving process. Ain't no process for grieving. You listening? But see, instead of the church teaching what the Bible teaches, we teach what makes people, you know, we think it makes them feel good. And so we have these 3 hours long funerals. You sitting here celebrating the person who done gone home to be with the Lord, and you celebrating the body? I ain't mean to talk about that, y'all. Jesus, they took, listen, if anybody's body should have been celebrated, it should have been Jesus.
Amen.
But they didn't. They took him straight to the grave. Why? He said, listen, guys, get me there in a hurry because I got to get up. Well, I can't hardly wait to resurrect the Son. I got something to tell y'all, boy. Well, let me tell y'all something. He said, get me there. And don't buy no gravesite for me. Put me one in bar, because I ain't going to stay there. And we paying all this money with these plots, man. Just bury me in the backyard and let me done. Brother Gary, now, you know, you ought to be out there in the graveyard. I ain't got to be out there. Rich people bury their folks in their backyard. Now watch this. But Brother Gary, you ain't rich. That's a lie. But I'm just saying stuff we have really adopted to or accepted to. Here it go again. I told y'all, you know, when I was talking last night, I said, you can't tell Brother Gary that because he talk. Listen, that's a little joke because as a pastor, I understand confidentiality. I tease like that kind of stuff. But a certain thing God told me because he knew if I tell him, he'll tell you. I'm talking about that's the reality of it. He gave me the gift to tell things. Now I'm back down. Oh man, when it become a truth to me, I don't care. Listen, it's one thing I done learned to stand by. I have to stand by myself, and that's the truth. I don't care about having to stand by myself. When I got saved, there wasn't a whole lot of people when I got saved. I'm talking about, if it was, I know one thing, he saved me. I don't know about the rest of them. I didn't talk about, I know I got saved. And so when I stand for him, and there ain't going to be nobody that testifies for me. No, Brother Gary, he was a good person. God, you can go sit down. I don't need you telling me nothing about Gary. I knew everything about Gary. And so since I know I got to stand by myself when I'm up there, now I ain't got to be by myself down here, but when I stand before him, I got to stand by myself. I wish my mama would come testify for me, but they ain't going to work. They ain't gonna. God ain't going to have it. Nah, man, I'll get with you later. But right now, this is Gary. And so I learned that from him now. Me and him. And so right now, it's very difficult for you to get me to follow anything. Because I'm so confident in him, not in myself, in him, that I just don't believe God will let me go astray. Ain't got nothing to do with what I done learned. See, my time in the Bible is for me, but my time with him is for me and him. He enjoyed me, and I enjoy him. Because let me tell y'all something. Even though God got everything, he gets something out of being with you.
Yes, Lord.
Now, most people don't believe that, but he gets something out of being with you. And I don't know why we don't want to be with him. You're going to be with God for eternity. That's the only way you can hang out with him, because you got to live forever. Now, if you want to find somebody else to hang out with, heaven ain't the place you won't go. Because you're going to have to hang out with him forever. And you know what? I ain't going to say no day. Ain't no time. Ain't going to be no time neither. No day, no time. Well, what's it going to be like? It's just going to be eternity. But ain't nothing going to never be the same. You're going to constantly be revealing something to you that you don't know. That's what's going to make God so enjoyable. Lord, I ain't never seen that before. I know. And you're going to get to enjoy it. And you're going to be laughing, showing you stuff. And you're going to be saying, Lord, you know, every few seconds, Lord, I know you ain't never seen that before. And so that's what's going to make him so enjoyable. But see, even now, it begins now. Eternity don't begin when you get in heaven. It begins when you receive Jesus.
Amen.
But sometimes we act like Jesus was so bored. We got Jesus confused with coming to church. You know, before I didn't realize I would enjoy preaching. You know, as a child, I enjoyed preaching. And you know how you want, I said, man, I'm going to preach like that. Because I enjoy, the personality. But I realized why they was having such an enjoyment. They enjoyed the Lord. See, God gives you a joy. Like some people think, Lord, I don't want to go to no foreign country. If God called you to go to a foreign country, you're going to enjoy doing it. Because he's going to give you the joy to do it. He don't want you doing anything out of duty, not with him. He wants you to have a joy in doing it. And so I enjoy it. That's why sometimes the Lord had to tell me, Gary, cut off. I can go, I'm like that bunny rabbit. I can go on and on. Listen, because ain't no end to his joy. And I'm so glad of that. I don't just enjoy preaching or pastoring. I enjoy the Lord. And so he gives me joy to pastor. He gives me joy to teach his word. I just enjoy doing it. Sometimes people are attracted. We get attracted to personality. Like, my advice to you, listen, God makes that person attractive, but not for you to get attracted to them. To him. Why? Right now, you can't handle his appearance. Remember the first time I read in St. John, 14th chapter, when Jesus says, if you keep my commandments, me and my Father will come and manifest us. The first time I met him, I thought I was dying. I said, oh, I don't want to see this. Couldn't move, couldn't say nothing. I saw the manifestation of the presence. I saw it. I could touch it. But I was scared out of my wits. I ain't know if I was dying. I ain't know what was going on with me naturally. I ain't know what was going on. They told me later that roaches couldn't even come in my room. No insects, nothing that was a creep or a crawl could come in my room. I ain't know it. I had no idea about that. I don't even know how long it lasts. All I knew is that when I woke up the next morning, her son had a rash on his body that we just couldn't get rid of. And I just touched him and it just disappeared. But let me tell you something. I know what it means to walk in his presence. You talking about something good? Oh man, I know what it means. When y'all say the Lord is good, I know what it means. And God wants every believer to know I'm good.
Amen.
But we kind of like, I don't know if we really want that. We just enjoy being members of the church. And, we do what we do in church and then go back to doing what we were doing when we, But see, I wouldn't like that. Now listen, you would hear my wife say, my mother would tell you, she'll tell you, I would spend hours in the Word. I would go in my room and just stay. When I would come home from work or from school, I'm talking about early, I would just spend time. And man, when I lost it, I almost lost my mind. You heard my wife tell part of that testimony in the morning. My cousin used to see me walking down Hemmerville Road, and my back would be to the sun, but my face was shining brighter than the sun. Literally. Just from being in the presence of the Lord. Those are the days I long for. I long for them days. Are you listening? I walked in a church one time. I can't even remember the message I preached. I got invited to go preach to a church. And I got there, the person with the Bible said, now they don't believe in laying hands on the sick and you can't pray for them. I turned the eyes up, but they ain't got no business in here. Seriously, I got ready to walk out of there, and the Lord arrested me. He said, where you going? I said, Lord, these people don't believe in healing. He said, I got business in here. Where you going? Now listen, I'm dealing with people who didn't bleed. I ain't talking about people who believe in it. I'm now going to say something that's really, really aching my heart. I walked in a church where they didn't bleed. You listening? Now listen, I'm going to tell you my concern about this stuff. And so I consider myself somewhat not a novice. Now I'm skillful in the word, but I'm still learning. And I started to teach. Probably got 10 minutes into the revelation that God had given me. To this day, I still don't even remember what I even talked about, but I remember what God done. And I'm teaching, and all of a sudden this lady just jumped up and said, I can hear. I could hear. And so, I kind of let it went by. So I said, ma'am, you need to sit down. I show you how spiritual I was. Didn't even know God was doing something. You listening? And so I went back to preaching, and about 5 minutes later she jumped up and said, oh, I can hear out of both of my ears. But I didn't hear the ear part. I just heard I could hear. And so I said, y'all don't know how to make this lady sit down. You know I ain't spiritual. I'm talking about here I am, childlike in my walk with God, and I'm sensitive, but I wasn't sensitive to what God was doing. And so one of the older ladies stood up and said, preacher, she said, this lady couldn't hear. I said, what do you mean she couldn't hear spiritually? Now I'm trying to be deep. No, she couldn't hear naturally. She couldn't hear. So now my mind going back to what I was told, that they didn't want you to pray for the sick. I said, God said, I got it from him. I said, what? He said, you just opened the door. And all of a sudden, I saw a lady I'm talking about, I thought she was pregnant. It was a tumor. I just saw it dissolve. Just looking, I said, Lord. He said, I got it from him. Now, this happened in a church where they didn't believe in healing. Now, that ain't the part I'm talking about. I'm still trying to figure out, I'm going to stop figuring now. How is it that we gather together and we believe? That's why I had y'all to read, Lord, let us see your goodness again. We done seen enough evil. Let us see your goodness again.
Lord.
And so the Holy Spirit been having me to read that constantly. He says, I want you to get your spirit prepared. Because right now, he said, it seems to be something special when I do something amongst believers instead of being normal. Now, it don't leave, you don't lose your excitement because it's normal, but right now, healing is not a normal thing. I'm talking about among believers. When it was in the early church, and they didn't, how is it that we have the word, we have, not a measure, we have the measure of faith. We have it. We got 66 books. We have the measure. They didn't have a measure, and yet Peter could walk down the street and people would get healed from his shadow.
Amen.
Come on, y'all. You remember I told y'all about the 12 loaves? The 2 loaves and the 5 fish? Remember the 3 things I told y'all God enjoyed doing? He does more with little, less with much, but he does everything with nothing. It don't make no difference where you land and work at. If you ain't got nothing, he said, I can work with that. He said, Lord, all I got is 5. I can work with that. Amen. I got 7. I can work with that. But he do his best work with nothing. That's the one I like. He said, I do everything with nothing. Why don't you bring your nothings to God? Hallelujah. So what do you mean by that, Brother Gary? You ever said this? Oh boy, let me tell you, I said, boy, the Holy Ghost sure talking now. You ever said this to yourself? Lord, I don't know what I'm going to do. That is a nothing. Why don't you take it to God and say, listen, I don't know how to do But we still try to figure it out. Now, my wife is a good figurer. Man, if she had any more, what they call it, wavelengths to her brain, God probably wouldn't be able to do that because she's good at figuring. And then she get to the place where she said, I don't know what to do. And I started laughing. I said, yeah. There's a scripture that said, without me, you can't do nothing. I don't know why we try to do anything without it. I thought that was the Bible said, without me, you can't do nothing. So why don't you get your nothings and give it to him? He said, I got it. I got it. And so we make being a Christian so difficult because listen, you weren't even able to save yourself, but all of a sudden now you think you can save some things. We almost act like it's a sin to not worry. But if you don't worry, that means you ain't concerned. Who told you that? Well, you need to show some kind of concern. I do, Lord. I'm concerned with this, but you told me not to take the camera, so I'm getting it to you. And so when you see me walking around here, you may not see me with $1 in my pocket, but I can tell you this here. And abused this particular church, and the Lord had a move for me to go there. We stayed there for about 6 weeks. 6 weeks. I'm talking about every night in a revival. And so the Lord said, I don't want you to take no offering. And I said, this must be the devil talking. I said, what? He said, don't take no offering. He said, I want to show you something. So the people, listen, I had never seen that like this. They said, no, you guys, I ain't got to take nothing. I said, you give it to him, I'm going to leave it right here in the church. I said, I ain't taking nothing. And so I walked away from it. 6 weeks. 6 weeks. The Saturday morning, I'm talking about after the Friday, the Saturday morning, a bag of money was on my mama's front door. Now see, I know y'all don't get excited about that. It wasn't even about money, because I'm going to show you something. And so I learned, okay. He said, I mean what I say. Now when I say a laborer in the word is working. He said, I said that, not the church. I said it. He said, but I don't never want you dependent upon no source outside of me.
Amen.
And y'all, I know y'all might get tired of me telling the story of how I got out of jail and how I came home, but I ain't gonna never get tired of telling it, because sometimes you miss stuff that I'm trying to share with you, but you might get tired. Well, you in jail, you in jail, you in jail. Thank you, bro. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Praise God. Praise God. Come on, say hallelujah. Hallelujah. Glory. Hallelujah. Come on, talk to the Lord. Let me tell you something. Thank you, Lord. And so, every time I'm reminded about that, I always see something about God that I didn't see before. And so, one of the things the Lord taught me about, he said, you remember what I had you to read about 5 loaves and the 2 fish? I said, yeah. He said, what did you learn from that? I said, because I always hear about moves of God, when God moved during this time. And we even have what you call a day of miracles. It has never been a day of miracles. It has always been a God of miracles. He don't change. We subject him to the day. If I hadn't waited for the church to pray me out of jail, I'd still be there. Now, I'm not saying that to be funny. Well, he shouldn't have been doing it. That's what y'all would have been saying. Oh, come on. Y'all know what we say about when people go to jail. You know, if you let a preacher go to jail, that's what we say. Particularly, you know, like for stealing or something he done done. Like, you know, he shouldn't have did that. Oh, okay. All right. So y'all gonna make me go there? Okay, I'm going there anyway. And so, my mama now, see, listen, I don't just thank God for my mama because she was my mama. I thank God that she could hear God, and I thank God that she always prayed. She lived a life like that. My wife will tell you that. You might be somewhere asleep 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. If you happen to, you know, we had 2 bathrooms. Wow, so bad when we first, I learned about 2 bathrooms to be able to have. And my wife, you know, the ladies in the midst, so my wife would go, it wasn't a time my wife would go to the bathroom that my mama wasn't on. You know, I used to say, well, when do she go to sleep? She enjoyed praying more than she did sleeping. She would go to bed early so she could get up early. It wasn't much that got her attention. I could wake up 12 o'clock in the morning and say, Mama, you know, I was reading the Bible. She could sit straight up in the bed. She said, let's talk about the word. Yeah. That's how I tuned in. She was like that about the word. And so I enjoyed that relationship with her. And so when I went to jail now, she said, Lord, now you told me he was going to go to jail. But I told him what you told me, but now, you know that's my boy. You trust me with me. She said, he said, when you want him to come home? She said, on my birthday. I spent 89 days in jail. I was supposed to have 35 years. My friend came and told him, say, Cousin Minnie, say, now, you know, he was trying to tell her all of the possibilities that could or couldn't happen. She said, I ain't gonna tell you the word. She said, get out of here. She said, I don't deal with no maybe. She said, I know what my God said. He coming home on my birthday. My same brother, most of y'all know my brother Pickett. You know, he's saved. Filled with the Holy Spirit. She said, Gary coming home for my birthday. He ain't saying that. I ain't know nothing about it. I did. I said, you mean to tell me you held me up in jail? She said, well, I needed to make sure you was hearing from God. She said, because I didn't want you coming back doing the same thing. And then I got to pray you out again. And I did. I did hear from him. And so, I never forget it. When the Lord gave me, I'm talking about, listen, I know, saints, God will tell you I'm going to do stuff, and he don't always do it, but sometimes he'll put a date on when he's going to do it. Now, I ain't telling you that what nobody telling me. I'm telling you, I know he'll put a date that says, you're going home. Now, when he first told me that, he didn't give me a date. But when I kept honoring him into a manner, I didn't think about when I was going home. I hadn't got so committed to God's will and judgment when it was time for me to go home. I didn't want to go home. I had much rather be in jail than to be free. Because his presence was so real in that jail. You listening? Listen, that ain't normal. That ain't natural. Because I saw what prisoners was being treated. God taught me the purpose and the power of fasting. For several days, I couldn't eat the prison food. All I had was water and cereal. I don't know how many days went by. He said, I don't want you to eat this food. I said, why? And he taught me a principle. He said, if you continue to eat this food, you're going to develop the mentality of being incarcerated. And I do not need you with that kind of mindset because you're getting out of here. You want to know why people go back to jail? They keep going back. They got a mentality. Yes. And it needs to be broken. You know why people embrace sickness as their own? It's a mentality. It's much easier to say, I got this than to say I'm healed. And yet Jesus says, what's easier for me to say? Your sins are forgiven you, I'll be healed. He said, but to show you that I got power to forgive sins, he didn't say, he says, rise up and walk.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord.
And so, see, we embrace the things that appear to be easy because it's like it may require more from us. It don't require nothing from you. But the devil got us thinking, well, you know, I got to fast and pray. I didn't fast and pray to get out of jail. That ain't what God was teaching me. He was telling me, if you learn to eat where you live at, you can break that mentality.
Glory.
And so when he gave me the assignment to read through the New Testament, I didn't know why I was reading, but by the time I got to the last verse in the book of Revelation, he said, next week you're going to court, and the week after you're going home. He put a date on it.
Glory.
He said, now stop telling people you're locked up, tell them you just hell up until the day of your departure.
Glory.
So when I kept telling people that, listen, that subject tells people you're in jail with. Particularly when I went to jail for what I went for. He said, don't you say you're locked up, not another day. So when I began to say that, you know, I told you what my delay was, why I was delayed. Not only that, I didn't realize that my mama was holding up the process. Let me get to the part of my mama. When God set me free, I had planned to catch a flight from Atlanta to Fort Lauderdale. But the Lord hadn't planned that flight. So when I got to the airport, they was boarding. He said, you ain't gonna make it, you can't make it. And I fell on my knees. I said, oh Lord, I got to stay in Atlanta another day. He said, get up, what you doing? He said, that's embarrassed to me, Gary. I said, Lord, I don't know how I'm going to get home. He said, go to the next airline. I said, I didn't. Listen, people can hear me talking like I'm talking to y'all. This is where I'm talking to God. He was that real to me. People can hear me. I said, I didn't make reservations with that airline. He said, I did. So when I go down to the next airline, you know, I'm going through this circuit. It's a flight going from here to Fort Lauderdale. He said, no. I said, see that? He said, but there's one going to Miami. I said, yeah. I said, well, is it possible for me to, to get a flight there? He said, sir. He said, they already boarded. I said, see that? He said, I said, man, do we have any tickets for Gary McLemore and Ernest Johnson? Because, see, I have a friend who was with me who was riding on my coattails. See, sometimes people will follow you if they know where you're going.
Yeah.
You listening? They don't need to know who leading you. They just need to know where you're going. He said, yes, sir. He said, we got 2 tickets here for you. And so I said this, thank you, Jesus. He said, it's about time. Now listen, see, y'all, this ain't no joke here. It's real. And so I said, oh, Lord. I said, man, how we going to get, I feel like OJ running through the airport. I said, oh, Lord. He said, take your time. So finally we get to the airline. Steward standing in the door. She's standing in the door. She said, how you doing, Mr. McLemore? We was waiting for you. I ain't never seen this lady a day in my life. I'm trying to figure out how you know my name. God said, I know your name. Is you listening? I'm just trying to tell you, he did the reservations. He held up the jet. Everything that happened, he did it. Now, see, people don't like me telling the story all the time, but see, I'm trying to get you to understand, he would do everything with nothing.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm talking about when you walk in the fullness of nobody but him. I learned this scripture, 2 Corinthians 5:12 to 17. You know why I learned it? Because in that portion, you remember where I read y'all at, where it says wherefore? When you see wherefore, you need to know why it's there. Because of what it said prior to that. You can't live unto yourself. You want to live unto him. See, when you live unto him, that means, Lord, I don't know what you're going to do, but I know whatever you do, it's going to be all right. When you live unto yourself, you got to ask him, Lord, now watch this. You got to go back to it because you're going to get to a place to where you don't know what to do.
Amen.
So why live your life like that? Like you know what to do. No. Don't live your life like that. Live unto him. Why? He's the one who paid for you. He's the one who purchased you. He's the one who saved you.
Amen.
So if you eat, watch this out, the bread of champions, you'll never know defeat. You'll never know it. But see, you can't sit at his table and eat what you want, and then as soon as you get full, you want to go eat at somebody else's table. It ain't gonna work. And y'all heard me say this. It was the Lord. He said, if you don't learn to say what I say, you will have what somebody else said. Some of y'all let that one right across your head and you're still saying what other people say. You're wondering why you got it. You remember what Jesus says, the words I teach you? They're not my own. He was telling them, don't be taking other people's words over God's word. Come on. He said, don't take other people's words over God's word. I don't care who they come from, a man, a preacher. I do not care. He says, don't take it over God's word. Peter prophesied to Jesus. He prophesied to him. He told him, he said, you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. He said, flesh and blood did not reveal that to you, but my Father which is in heaven. Right after he said that, he began to disclose it. He said, guys, let me tell you something that you don't know. He says, I'm going to be going to Jerusalem after a while, and they're going to accuse me, and they're going to abuse me, they're going to beat me, and they're going to eventually die. Peter, now I said, oh, spiritual Peter. He said, stop talking like that. You don't need to be talking like that. You're the Son of God. Now watch it. Jesus turned and says, get behind me, Satan. Now mind it. You know, if you walk with him, you didn't know if he was calling Peter Satan or he was talking to Satan directly. Let's see if I did that to some of y'all. Quit talking like the devil. I ain't the devil, Brother Gary. So right away you think I'm talking to you, and I ain't talking. That's when I said, quit talking like the devil. He said, get behind me. Then he told Peter, he showed us, he said, you speak the words of the devil, not of my Father. You heard the story of my wife when the doctor, listen, when the doctor told my wife, said, we don't know what we're going to do because this cancer is spreading. And so, you know, he said, you know, as a doctor, his professional courtesy, he can't make promises. I understand that. That ain't the first time we have made that walk. When she was pregnant with Jamal, we had to make that walk. At that time, she didn't have zero understanding. When I was teaching her about healing, I said, we don't talk like that. She said, honey, I don't understand that. I said, it don't matter, just keep talking. Actually, she'll tell you, I said, just keep talking. I don't care nothing about what you don't understand. I ain't giving into that. I know she didn't know she was just as green as the pine trees I knew. She didn't know, but I didn't care nothing about her, what her natural mind didn't know. I had two people that I needed to take home with me, and that was her and Jamal. So I didn't have time to be trying to, you know, go through the A's and the B's. No, I said, just keep talking what this word said. And then it got to a place where she should have been in a certain place and she wasn't. Because, listen, I understood and God understood. She dealing with doctors, what, every day. I ain't dealing with them. She is. But the one thing she hadn't counted on at the time was God was there even when I wasn't there. Now, she didn't know that at the time. And so I come home one day, coming from UPS, and she called, she said, honey, she cried, she said, honey. I said, yeah. She said, the doctor said I got a 50% chance of meal Jamal. I said, what? I said, you can't give me no percentage. And then all of a sudden, the Lord crooked me, telling her to leave the book or throw it in the garbage. I didn't have time to think, because I'm saying, Lord, my wife don't know nothing about it. I didn't have time to think that. I said it, and when I said it, I hung up the telephone. I said, Lord. He said, I got it from him. And it was time for me to go see my wife, and I'm saying, oh boy. I'm going to get the Hoggins today. Y'all didn't understand that, did you? My wife used to be a Hoggins. And you know, she was raised up in the Hoggins house. Them my people. I know how they is. And so I'm saying, oh, man. So I'm set. I'm saying, well, let me get ready for it. Because I couldn't bend. Because I was making a stand. I walked in there, she's sitting there, just as plump and pretty as she can be. He said, hey, honey. I started greeting her. I said, oh, thank you. But see, between that time up until then, God was working. You listening? It wasn't none of me working. God had started to work. He had told me, he said, I got it. 2 days later, she tells the doctor, she says, now mind you, she ain't saved yet. So the Lord tells her, the medicine they're giving you is killing you. This ain't the devil talking to her, this is God talking to her. She didn't know that, but she told the doctor. She asked one of the people who was tending her, she said, what's in there? God told her what was in the stuff, and they turned around and confirmed it. She said, I ain't taking that no more. They said, well, Mr. McLemore, you got to take this. This was keeping you alive. She said, I ain't taking it no more. They called the doctor in there. By the time I get there, the doctor in there, Mr. McLemore, we believe in prayer and everything, but she needs this. I said, she the one saying she ain't taking it. I got to go along with her. She said, I ain't taking it no more. So they put a big sign on the door, not to give her this medication. So, they want us to sign this off. These papers saying that and anything, we didn't care nothing about signing that. We had that already. Jesus had that already signed that name on something. We ain't got nothing about that. We ain't gonna hold y'all responsible. And listen, we ain't gonna hold y'all responsible when she get healed, neither. How about that? When the healing finally manifests itself, the doctors, they wanted to do a study on her. Because they couldn't understand. You can't understand how God do his thing. You can't understand that. He just do it, and he don't need your permission to do it. You listening? These was walks that the Lord taught us. He taught us how to walk like this. This ain't something that we just took upon ourselves and we were special. He taught us because someday he knew I would be standing here. And I would have to teach people. This latest revelation we talk about now, from measure to fullness. I said, Brother Gary, you ain't even talking about that. That's all I've been talking about. It's from measure to fullness. See, God may start you out with a seed, but by the time that seed develops, you're over into an area of fullness. My teaching is about getting you to start to walk. The book of Ephesians talks about three different positions. Sit, walk, and stand. Most Christians don't know how to sit. How many of y'all ever went to sleep in the classroom? No, I ain't being funny, I'm just saying. Why you went to sleep in that classroom, you know that teacher was teaching you something that was important. Jesus wouldn't wake the disciples up when he told them, he said, I'm going to pray, tarry ye here. He said, watch with me. He didn't tell them to pray with me, he said, watch with me. You know what they did? They went to sleep. He came back. He said, guys, what y'all doing? We got our hands up. No, you ain't. You sleep, man. Watch this out. So that you don't enter into temptation. Why? He had already told them the secret to Satan's success. What you mean the secret to his success? He says he comes immediately after the word is sown. He said that's the secret to his success. He wants to get you separated from the word. Now most people think the devil is coming after your health or your finances. That's the fruit of it. If he ever get the seed to it, then he get you concentrated on the fruit. You can't get a mango tree to grow mangoes if you ain't got no seed. You listening? I wonder why this ground won't produce no mangoes. Did you put a seed down there? Well, no. You didn't? Well, what you want from it? But I just figured if I hope long enough, a tree would grow. No, ain't nothing gonna grow. Ain't nothing gonna grow there. And so see, when he gets the seed of it, you start seeing the fruit. Watch yourself. He takes the seed that'll produce everything, and now you don't have nothing. So guess what you get the fruit? Nothing. That's your fruit. The fruit of nothing. You ever heard this? Nothing from nothing. That's the success of the devil. He comes to steal the seed because he knows that's the substance to produce whatever it is you desire. So God says, you can't handle fullness. So I'm going to give you a measure. I'm going to give you a seed. All right? Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to read you the scripture. And now you're going to understand why God, listen, he didn't give y'all to me. He gave me to y'all. And I'm going to let y'all see in the book of Ephesians why he gave me to y'all. Say from measure to fullness. Turn to Ephesians, the 4th chapter. Ephesians, the 4th chapter.
Are you there? Ephesians? If you just say amen, if not, say okay.
Amen.
Okay. I'm finna try to come in for a landing. All right. Man, the Lord wants us to be on one accord, so. Remember I told you Ephesians is about sin. First chapter talks about God has blessed us with all spiritual blessings. And where? In heavenly places. We've been seated in heavenly places. It tells you about being seated first. Being seated, why? You can't walk unless you learn to hear. Most people trying to walk and can't hear. Now, I have not had a hearing developed. Now, watch this. Most women know this, but I'm going to see it. You know, I'm not that good at this, but I do know this part. Who have the most bones in their body, a baby or an adult? Who has the most bones in their body, a baby or an adult?
The baby bones got to be developed.
Huh?
The baby bones being developed.
Well, okay, my question is, who got the most bones? A baby or an
They got
adult?
the same.
Huh? Man, yeah, I thought y'all was smarter than that. A baby got more bones than an adult because the skull ain't developed. You know why the baby got that hole in the top of their head? Because the skull ain't developed. There's 4 bones. They have to develop. Come on, y'all know better than that. I know y'all know that. No, I think y'all don't know that. Y'all ladies know that baby got a hole in the top of their head. Oh, not that far. Now you want to get deep that far. Yeah. Now I'm trying to get you to understand, yet it's a human being. It's a human being, yet a baby got more bones than an adult. But yet still the adult is more mature than a baby, yet the baby got more bones. And that's something. Got the same brain, but it ain't developed. Right? Watch yourself. Who got a pass, the baby or the adult? Yeah, got a pass, the baby or the adult. Huh? Yeah, pass, P-A-S-T. Who got a pass? You know, like a pass to hang? What they call a baby when a baby, newborn baby, what they call it? Innocent, because he don't have a pass. All right, you ever know the Bible called he has newborn babes? So you have to develop a pass. You have to get your pass from the world. See, too many of y'all trying to have a big, thick skull. Now, I'm just trying to teach you some basic things. I'm sticking to basic stuff. Yeah, but you ain't ready to handle some of this stuff. That's why Jesus said to his disciples, there's many things I'm going to say to you, but he said you can't hear it yet. You can't bear it yet. It wasn't developed yet. They had to get a born-again spirit. Now watch this here. We're able to hear what they couldn't hear. Now watch this here. Yet they got greater results than us. Why do a baby get more attention than an adult? Because the baby can't walk. Come on, this simple stuff. He can't, baby ain't know. You got to hold him, you got to carry him, you got to change him. Come on, y'all. You got to sit there, you got to rock him. The church was in its early stages. So God had to carry it. He had to nurture it. He had to keep feeding it. But guess what? God is saying to the church, I need you to walk. Why? Because fullness is coming. Because see, God ain't on our schedule. He's on our timeline. He lives in eternity. He deals nothing with time. The only purpose time has is to develop you. We done had 2,000 years. And we still saying, is it the will of God to heal us? What? You better wake yourself up. Amen. Jesus says, wake up so that you don't fall into temptations. He was telling them the devil is coming. Most of us don't realize that. Listen, I don't brag on the devil. Y'all hear me? I don't brag on him. But his time ain't up yet. All right.
See, y'all wondering why I'm screaming and hollering like this, because I know what's coming. You got two things coming. Satan and Jesus, they both coming. But we don't seem to be aware of Jesus coming, and we ain't paying no attention to the devil's coming. If he can keep you occupied with yourself, you won't know what Jesus is saying. So guess what he do? He keep you occupied with yourself. Right? You say, I ain't got it. I'm sick. I need. And it's always you and I. It's you and I. Yet Paul says, I'm crucified. He did something with his eye. I'm crucified with Christ. Watch this. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Christ who lives in me. Amen. Then he goes on to say, I will not. Now watch. I will not. I will not. You have to exercise your will. I will not. I will not. I am not going to draw the attention to me no longer. What I need, why? Because my God supplies all of my needs. What about your wants? My God supplies all of my wants. What about your desire? My God supplies all of my needs. What do it leave you with? Nothing. It leaves you with nothing to do. Say me, Brother Gary, ain't got to do nothing. Yeah. You got to believe that he loves you. That's it. Paul, let me tell you something. That's what we fight with. You got to believe that he loves you. You say, Brother Gary, why that's so important? Because faith works by love. Most of us trying to work faith, and we don't even believe God loves us, and we wondering why we ain't coming up with the kind of results we want. It goes right back to the beginning of the basics. See, love will bring that skull together. Is you listening? It'll mature you. When a baby head start coming together, watch and see how the baby start lying. No, listen, because, listen, watch yourself. The Bible says he was born in sin and serpent in iniquity. You ain't got to teach a baby to lie. Listen, I'm just telling you, they'll tell lies before they tell the truth. Why? They shape it in that. You notice that the Bible tells us to put away lying? Why? You're still alive, you don't put it away. You have to put it away. That's what Paul tells us in Ephesians, put away lying. Why? Saints still alive. Yeah. I'll see you mention that, Brother Gary. I don't see you no more the next time. You lying, man. Listen, I ain't sitting there to judge you, and I ain't trying to make you condemn, but listen, let me tell you something, Saints. We got to stop lying. We need to start walking like mature saints. They got a saying in the rubber. I ain't nothing to tell you. Yes, it is something to tell, too. Ain't it? Brother, why you don't preach on sin? Because sin ain't where we live at. You righteous people. But if Paul said put away lying, I believe I got to start telling y'all, quit lying. But you lie. You're going to heaven from this day on. Ain't nothing going to cancel that. But God still wants you to walk mature. Why? Because if you don't learn it here, you're going to learn it up there. You ain't getting that learning. Some of y'all think, well, I'll be good down there. Yeah, you keep thinking that. You ain't going to just be able to walk up in the prayer. Hey, Lord, who was that coming with all that noise? Listen, Saint, you're going to have to learn how to enter into his presence. Now, if anybody told you that, I'm starting the alarm. It ain't like that. I learned this when I was in the presence of God. I didn't know how to be still. I didn't know how to listen. I just saw a presence and I experienced it. I didn't know how to receive from him. I had prayed for this, and when it came, I didn't know how to respond to it. But yet he left his effect on me, and I could not even explain it. God ain't going to have nothing on you you can't explain. It ain't them days over with. You need to know. You need to know. So when people actually say, what's that on your face? That's God. You know, I ain't going to know. If you say that, you might be proud. That's false humility. You understand that? I ain't going to know about it to think. Think what? They're going to think whatever they want to think anyway. Sit there. They was fooling around in witchcraft, and I walked in my aunt's house. And the Lord said, hey, tell me, get that stuff out their shoes. I said, what shoes you talking about? He said, you don't need to know what shoes I'm talking about. Just tell them what I say. I said, y'all dabble around and stuff. Y'all ain't got the minutes dabble around. I said, honey, you want to know why your feet hurt when you put them shoes on right there? Took me right to the shoe. I said, this stuff, you know when you find it, nobody don't want to tell. Why y'all running from this son? No, I ain't gonna touch that. It's in your shoe. It's been in your shoe. Now you don't want to touch it. I said, this stuff don't work on believers. But you start to see things, you start to know things that you don't normally know. While you walking with God. And I'm telling you, you don't know no fear. I'm telling you, you don't know no fear. No fear. None. I had a lady that put some stuff in my mama's car one time, and the lady who when she went to tell, she said, that stuff ain't gonna work on that lady. The root lady told her, that ain't gonna work on her. I bet you the devil told that story. So it ain't gonna work on her. Say, she's a child. You know what they say? She's a child of God. They got real proper. She's a child of God. That won't work on her. Came back and got the trunk of my mama's car. It wouldn't work. God will make the devil know your name. You listen? You don't need to know who his people is. He'll make them know who you is, though. Listen, saints, but see, if we don't develop this kind of walk with God, it seems like it's something far off. It seems like a mystery. And it ain't no mystery. He wants you to walk in that kind of authority. Watch this. Sit. Why? You need this to come together. You need to get that hole out your head. Now, it sounds funny, but I'm just telling you. Y'all, ladies, y'all know what I'm talking about. Ain't y'all done pour oil on top of the baby head? Come on, what kind of old crazy stuff is that? Why you pouring oil on top of the baby head? What that supposed to do? But y'all know it do something. Don't it work? It get the cold out or whatever it is. Now listen, so now y'all know that. Y'all think God don't know us? There's a hole in the top of your head. Now listen. And he knows it needs to be closed up. So he says, sit here and let me close that hole in your head. Remember what I told you, you're sitting in heavenly places? You know what that meant when I told you sitting in heavenly places? That word heavenly places come from the word Uranos. What do it mean? Sitting in the conversation of the Godhead. You remember what Isaiah said? When he went into the temple, he said, I heard. And that what he said? He wasn't able to answer until he said, I heard. So when God said, who will go? He said, I'll go. He wasn't ready to ask until he heard God say, who will go? Right now, all God doing is telling you, say, just go to church right now because I'm closing up a hole in you. You're right here about to run at yourself and don't even know when you're finna run your head right at yourself. Man, you hit a baby on the top of the head, you're going to kill him. No, and you ain't got to hit him hard. Because that's a sensitive spot right there. So God says, sit and listen to me talk. You'll spend most of your Christian life, watch this, if you don't listen with the intent to believe, you'll never develop. There's Christians who sit in churches, listen, they sit in churches around this country. And all they do, now listen to me, this is not a bad thing. All they do is celebrate their pastor. But they don't never let the celebration of the pastor be seen through them. Let me tell y'all what happened to me one time. Now this is not, listen, this ain't to draw no attention to me, but I want to tell you what happened. When I started hearing Brother Dunn start teaching on praying for the sick and stuff like that, he was sending us out. We was in Darien one time. Well, I believe what he said. My hole was healed up. So they was, we was trying to get people to come listen to us. So I was standing back, I was just praying, Lord, send one person. If you don't send 10, send one. We don't want this trip up here to be in vain. So finally one of us said, Brother Gary, said this was a common thing. You got a word? I said, no, I brought my Bible on. So when I put my Bible on the table, saints, listen, I got to give an account for this room. The pages in my Bible just started turning, and it stopped. And the verse that God wanted me to read, now this at night, it highlighted. When I started reading, the cars just started stopping in the middle of the road. Started to come to where we was. You listening? Listen, this is all God. This ain't got nothing to do with me. You listening? And so when people started to come, now listen, now please don't take this the wrong way. They said, we got it, Brother Gary. I said, okay, I backed up. You know, because I didn't want to make it look like I was trying to, you know, be in charge of that. And so when we got back, they told Brother Gary tried to take over. I said, fine. I'm just showing you what happened when you got a hole in your head. Are you listening?
Yes.
And so I told him, I said, I don't want to go no more. Brother John said, you know, it's going. You know, I told him, you know, it's going. I said, yes, sir. So the next time we had a tea out there to eat. Man, you know, I'm doing what he's teaching me. And so I'm standing in the back. I was the usher that night. I'm standing, you know, escorting people to their seats. So we had the speaker. I said, Lord, if you satisfied with this, he said, I'm satisfied. I said, but we just gathered, man. There ain't nothing happening. So by this time, a young man and his brother walked in, and the boy was on crutches. He said, take that boy and pray for him. I said, who, you talking about me? I said, the last time something like this happened, I got in trouble. He said, take that boy and pray for him. I said, Lord, I don't want to go through this again. He said, take that boy and pray for him. I said, okay. We went out, y'all, if you're familiar with eating the old cafeteria, right behind the old cafeteria, it was the bus ramp. So, you know, I'm nervous because I'm saying, oh Lord, boy, if that don't happen, I'm going to be made. God said, hey, it is not you. You're going to be made shame. I said, yeah, Lord. So he said, don't touch it. I said, that's good. Okay, that'll work. So I said, what's wrong with you? He said, well, I'm due to have an operation the next day. He said, my hip socket, my tail, your hip is that socket right there. He said, it won't stay on it. They got to put a pin in it. So the Lord said, command that socket to grow. I said, that's easy to say. I said, I command you in the name of Jesus for your hip socket to grow. So I said, do what you couldn't do. And so, man, this boy went to walking. Now listen, he didn't walk on the pavement. He walked on the edge. You know, where the thing that divide the buses, he walking on the edge of it. Just walking. And so by that time, people coming down out of the cafeteria. And they said, oh, Brother Gary. You know, I said, oh, no, here you go again. So, you know, everybody the circle around, and we just, you know, they celebrate, right? And I'm thinking it's going to be okay, right? Sunday morning, I get the business again. They said, Brother Gary just took over Pastor Johnson. I said, Brother Johnson, all I did was what you taught me. This happened on Sunday, that Monday. I'm so despondent. I'm going to tell you, I'm so despondent. The lady of the young boy came to my, I don't know how this lady found out where my mom stayed. She came to the house, knocking on the door. She said, ma'am, you got a son named Gary? And so she said, yeah. Now, I had the crutches in the closet to the house. I kept them for souvenirs because I wanted to pick at the devil. Yeah, I like making fun of the devil. I love doing that. And so she said, he prayed for my son. So when I heard he prayed for my son, I got scared. I said, oh, Lord, this boy needs straight. Listen, I'm telling you, that's how despondent I was. She said, now watch this. See, I'm talking about a move of God. God starts moves and he don't need nobody's permission.
Amen.
I'm trying to show y'all something. This happened to me. She said, ma'am, he need to come to my house. So she said, I told her, I ain't going to that lady house. I ain't going to do that because I didn't know what it was about. She said, what's going on? She said, I got a bunch of people up in my house he need to pray for. She done went and got all the sick people in her community and brought them to her house. I told Mother, no, I got in trouble for praying for people. I ain't doing that no more. Is you listening? I walked away from that, saints, and it left a wound on me. And I said, you know what, Lord? I didn't think church people would do that. He said, Gary, they've been doing that to me for years. What you talking about? I said, what? He said, they've been denying me for years. I said, Lord, I said, but this is good. But what is wrong with this? He said they still got a hole in the top of their head. He said their head needs to be developed. Right after that, Brother Johnson began to get feeble. Well, I don't need to get into that part about it, but I'm just showing you what happens if you don't tap in and stay connected to a move of God. You'll think He moved. You know, you ever heard this? It's my season.
Yeah.
Well, what season that is? You see, we call it a season. But the Holy Spirit don't operate by seasons. I know y'all ain't never heard that. He's not adapted to seasons. Jesus said this, now I want you to listen to how he compares the Holy Spirit. He said first he's like a well that'll be in that springs up. And then in the 7th chapter of St. John, he says he's like a river. And the Lord said, you don't get it when it's like a river. I said, what does that mean? He said that means it's uninterrupted. Who keep interrupting me? He said, I told you it's like a river. He said, a river is for people. He said, Garrett, it's uninterrupted. He said, but for some reason, y'all been building dams. Is you listening? Can I make an announcement? Now, y'all can go tell us if you want, but I'm kicking the dams down. Because the flow didn't start again.
Amen.
The flow didn't start again. When the Lord taught, this has been years when he taught me this. So saints, listen, I'm years back. Because I did not want this. I did not want it because my fight didn't come from unsaved people. It came from saved people. I couldn't believe it. She'll tell you, we would go to Methodist, Baptist churches. It didn't make any difference. God was moving. We went to Bethel, AME. Listen, we went there. They gave me the evening service. You know, at most of the AME churches, they have 2 services, evening and night. They gave me all of the evening services. The last night of the service, the Lord said, give it to me. I said, what you mean? He said, you've been preaching and you've been teaching. He said, give me tonight. I said, what you want from me? He said, concentrate yourself. Separate yourself. He said, don't teach and watch me work. That night she'll tell you, that's the night 15 young people got filled with the Holy Spirit. You listening? We saw people, listen, I saw this stuff moving back then. We saw gay people give up their lifestyle. Nobody wouldn't call them. They were just giving it up. People was getting healed just sitting in the seat. You know what the preacher said? He said, I ain't never seen it like this. This was the pastor of the church at that time. He said, I ain't never seen it like this. People just getting healed and getting, want to hear something funny? And nobody was making an altar call. God was just moving and nobody could control them. Nobody. And I said, Lord, he said, wherever you go, he said, if you believe me, I'm going to do it like this. I went to work for Essex Plastics. I got an experience out there on that job. Listen, it broke. That's the only job I ever cried when I got fired off. You listening? I cried. My wife said, I cried. I said, oh, Lord, they done fired me. He said, boy, I'm calling you. My brother-in-law, who wasn't walking with the Lord as strong as I was, he said, man, get you a card and send to your boss man and send to the people who work for you and tell them, say, thank y'all. Y'all just released me to do what God wants me to do. Is you listening? You listening? See, God had started something. I was sitting on that job one time, just reading my Bible, and a young man came to me who was at that time my brother-in-law. He said, man, I'm witnessing to a guy. I don't know what to say to him. He said, can I bring him over here and talk to you? You know, because I was about winning souls. I said, yeah. So when he came up, the Lord said, I don't want you to say that. I said, well, I'm a witness to him. He said, you think that's the only way I can talk? I'm just trying to show you when you're walking in fullness, God don't care where you at. He don't care. And so I said, well, Lord, I said, okay. So he walks up. When he started walking, like, just listen, these are true stories. I was sitting up on the tree. The wind started blowing in the tree. Now you want to hear something funny? And the leaves wasn't moving. So when the young man walked up, he just started shaking. He just started shaking. So the Lord said, don't say nothing. He just started shaking. I'm talking about just shaking violently. So I'm saying, Lord, I say, he said, don't say nothing. And finally he said, what I got to do to get saved? I ain't said nothing about Jesus. Nothing. I said, just believe on him. I said, he'll come into your life. I had my favorite Bible. God said, give him that Bible. I said, it's my favorite. He said, give it to him. He said, I'm just beginning. The next day I went to walk on my job, go punch in, young man standing up to the machine working, and when I walked, he stood up. And so, you know, I didn't know what was going on with him. He just stood up. He said, man, who you is? I said, I ain't nobody. He said, you got to be. I said, why you say that? He said, because when I saw you walk through that door, it's like something arrested me and it felt like I was so dirty. He said, it felt like I just needed to go take a bath. Me, I'm so unconscious of what God was doing. I said, sir, I'm just a Christian. Next thing he said, now watch this. He said, I just want what you got. He said, I'm just beginning. Saints, I forfeited a lot talking about, but it came with great persecution. Most people say, you don't know the price I pay. Ain't no price to pay. You're going to be persecuted when you walk with God. Yeah, people are going to say all kinds of things about you. And at the time, I did not know I would receive such persecution from the church. I didn't know that. I said, Lord, I said, you know, I didn't know what it would take for me to walk in this kind of relationship with you. And all he kept saying was, let me close the hole. Let me close the hole. When he began to teach me to sit, I did not want to sit. I wanted to stand. And in this very church, when I first came home out of jail, I wanted to stand and teach. That's all I wanted to do. God says, I need you to sit. I didn't want to sit on people who I knew more than. My head was not closed. He said, I need you to sit. I said, I can sit under nobody who don't know who I know more than. He said, okay. So when I started getting persecuted, you know, I didn't know how to respond to it. And the last time I was asked to sit in this church, I got to the place where it was difficult for me to hear the Lord, and I said to the pastor at that time, I said, I need to draw back. I said, I need to get away because my direction seems to be confused, and I need to find out from God where he wants me to be. And I went and I sat up under. Pastor's totally unknown. If I call him, some of y'all may know him. But I sat there. 365 days, 1 year before God sent me back to Superman. So when I went there, he says, I need you to do something for me. He says, what? He said, I want you to take the Sunday school. I said, I don't want to do that. I want to sit down. He said, no, you don't need to. So I said, yes, I do. I need to sit down. He said, no, you don't. He said, in standing, you will be sitting. I didn't understand it at the time what God was doing when he says, in standing, you will be sitting. And so all of a sudden, this ministry began to grow. And then his wife came and told him, said, you need to get this Sunday school from Brother Gary because people seem to be paying more attention to him than it is to you. But I didn't know what was going on. So he came to me. He says, I want to ask you to do something. I said, okay. He said, you mind if I have the Sunday school back? I always loved teaching Sunday school. That was my pride. But I didn't realize how much God had closed my head up. I said, yeah. And God told me, said, now mind you, we was having church in his house. He said, you better not be late not one Sunday. I would meet everybody in the church. And he came and he told me one Sunday morning, he said, I don't understand it. I live in this house and you beat me in the church. Now, I said that to say this out because I wanted God to do something that had not been done before. So, you listening? And so, when it was time for me to come back, which I don't want to get into that part there, but when it was time, when God told me it was time to come back, and I went to sit down and talk with him, he said, I know you didn't come to stay. He said, you're done sitting, now God wants you to stand. I stand before you now because God wants me to stand. Are you listening? This ain't nothing to get Brother Gary. I tried to stand without God, and all I did was make a mess. But God wants me to stand. Amen. And he wants to close the head, that hole in your head. Learn to sit, learn to walk, then you're going to be able to stand. When stuff comes against you, you're going to be able to stand. You can't stand against some stuff now because you ain't learned to walk and you learn to sit yet. Everything right now that God is doing in your life is about first developing, closing up that hole in the top of your head. You want to close the hole up.
so you can be able to walk with him. Right now, if you read it, let me read this to you. I ain't going to do nothing to read it. I hope the Lord don't ask me to say nothing about it. Let me read this to you. I want to close this with this scripture. Ephesians the 4th chapter. Watch this. 4th chapter, begin at the first verse. I therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that you walk worthy of the vocation wherein you are called. What did he say? Walk. What you doing right now? You're sitting. You know what you're doing? You're having that hole closed up in the top of your head. And he's going to tell you why that hole needs to be closed up in your head. With all lowliness and meekness, with long-suffering, forbearing one another in love, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. Endeavoring to keep. Quit praying for unity. You got it. You got to learn to keep it. Hello, y'all. I hear the church praying for unity. That ain't something you need to pray for. You got to learn to keep it. You're born with unity in your DNA. You're born with it. It's in you. It's in you. Listen, don't let nobody break up your union. If God has set you in this ministry, please listen carefully. If he has set you in this ministry, don't let nothing disturb that. Protect it. Protect it. Why? Because of what he wants to do. He didn't make us independent. There's an independency about us that we will develop, but not without the body. God is more concerned about his body than he is your body, but when you get concerned about his body, he'll take care of your body. Is you listening? Yes. You ever read in the Old Testament when God was telling Habakkuk, was it Habakkuk? When he was talking about the reason your house is falling apart is because my house is falling apart. That was in the Old Testament. He said, because you forgot my house, I'm going to forget your house. Well, it's the same thing in the New Testament. Because you done forgot his body, he'll forget your body. Are you listening? From measure, remember the key. From measure to fullness. From measure to fullness. In your body is a measure. But he want to connect you with the fullness. You listening? Say fullness. Fullness. Say I'm headed for fullness. Headed for fullness. Watch this. There is one body, one spirit, even as you are called in one hope of your calling. One faith, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all and through all. Now listen, y'all, please go home and read this over yourself. I'm just reading through this because it's just one point I want to get to. In you all and in you all. But unto every one of us is given. Say given. Given. Say given. Say given grace. According, here it is, to the measure of the gift of Christ. Say measure. Say God has given me a measure. Wherefore he said, when he ascended on high, he led the captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. Now that he ascended, what is it? But that he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth. He that descended is the same also that ascended up far above all heavens, that he might feel the hole in your head, that he might feel the hole in your head, that he might feel the hole in your head, that he might feel the hole in your head. All things that he might feel. And he gave some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some Garys, that's pastors, and other Garys, that's teachers, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, till we, say we, all come into the unity of the faith. First is the unity of the Spirit, now the unity of the faith, and of the knowledge of the Son of God, unto a what? Perfect. What? That's when the hole unclosed in your head. Perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ.
learning to walk. How do I learn to walk? I gave you apostles, prophets, teachers, evangelists, pastors, and teachers for your perfection, for your maturity. They're the ones who's going to close up that head in your head. Why? So you won't be tossed to and fro. How many of y'all done heard God wants you healed, and then you go home and you ask this question? Why I'm still sick? That's a random doctrine. Did y'all know it's a doctrine that goes in the church that God ain't healing everybody? Y'all didn't know that, did you? I'm going to say this and then we're done. I see they talking to people who got holes in their head. Y'all ain't going to live with holes in your head. Because we going from measure to fullness. You're going to know. Not that God wants you healed, you're going to know that you're healed. Healing is going to be a common thing among us. I don't mean just us, I'm talking about in the body. You're going to be agents of healing. You listening? Not me. We. Going to be agents of healing. Now, the only way I can say you don't want this, you had better stop coming here. If you keep coming here, you're destined to be an agent for healing. Why? Healing is going to be as normal as going to your, what you call them, your doctor? Primary care. You're going to be just like a primary agent. Is you listening? I'm telling y'all, I know what I saw. I ain't telling you never what nobody told me. I'm talking about this is what I saw. Saints gonna be, you know what it says? Until we all come into the full stature. We, not me, we. If you don't want to be, stop coming. That's the only way I can tell you, you ain't gonna be it. Stop coming. God's plan is gonna work. Ain't nothing gonna stop it. Ain't nobody gonna stop it. You listening? I know we got sick people in our family. We got people with what the doctors done said, well, this is all we can do. Okay. And God raising up agents of healing vessels. That's going to bring healing to our family members, to our friends, to this community. Let me tell y'all something. God got the city of Pompano on his heart. But before he can demonstrate to the city of Pompano how much he loved them, we need to rediscover how much he loves us. And then they gonna know how much he loved them. Is you listening? That's what we heard now. Say from measure to fullness. Say God is closing up this hole in my head. Stand to you.